I was talking to my brother recently about the quote, "The days are long, but the years are short." And I told him, whoever said that must have had a boring life. There's this concept in psychology known as time perception. While a second on a clock is always the same length of time, our brains don't perceive time consistently. So it can feel like time is moving faster or slower depending on the circumstances. Like a 1-hour meeting that feels like it takes the entire day. As we go about our lives, our brains are constantly consolidating memories, but as you gain familiarity with your environment, you need to store less new memories. And when you're writing down less information, it feels like time is moving more quickly because your brain isn't slowing down to process these things. And there's a difference between your in-the-moment time perception and your retrospective time perception, looking back on things that have happened in the past. And we don't have to get into that in this video because I'm not trying to make the days short, I'm just trying to make the years long. So all you need to know for now is that novelty makes stronger memories and makes time feel longer when you look back. When I was having this conversation with my brother, when I looked back at the beginning of the year, it felt like so long ago because I had moved, I had traveled, I had tried all of these different sports. That's a different video. There are so many different ways to introduce novelty into your life. It doesn't have to be travel. So today, that is what I want to talk about. Last Christmas, another conversation I was having with my brother, I was telling him that I didn't feel like I had enough adventure in my life. And he introduced me to this YouTuber, Bo Miles, and the concept of backyard adventures. And my brother and I decided that we were going to have a Christmas backyard adventure, and he had given me some wood carving tools as a Christmas gift. So we decided to go find a fallen tree that we could collect some wood from to use the new carving tools on. So the goal with this hacking time perception thing, the goal is just novelty. It doesn't have to be some big expensive adventure. It can just be an adventure that you have in your backyard. So what is a backyard adventure? There are a few metrics I had in my mind when I was planning this video and planning ideas for these adventures. I think first of all, a backyard adventure needs to be short. Not everybody has a ton of time on their hands. You can't go for a week-long vacation somewhere. So it needs to be something that can be done in one day, one afternoon, one evening. And it also needs to be relatively close to home. If not in your literal backyard, maybe somewhere that you don't have to travel far to get to it, because that's kind of the whole point. It also should be low cost or free. I really want anyone to feel like they can have a backyard adventure. So it doesn't have to be something expensive, or you don't have to buy a bunch of gear to have some experience. All that being said, the backyard adventure still needs to be out of the ordinary. It can be short, it can be close to home, it can be low cost, but it still has to be something new. It just has to be enough to get you out of your usual routine. It should feel exciting and engaging and novel. So I made a list of some of my favorite backyard adventures that you could try. The first idea is experiencing the sunrise or sunset in some way. This is one of my favorite backyard adventures because you can do it any day. There's a sunrise or a sunset every day, and it's just such a magical time of the day. Recently, one of my coworkers told me that there was this really good hammock spot, so I made a plan to go there with my hammock, bring my book, do some reading, and it was just a really lovely little adventure. My second backyard adventure suggestion, and perhaps my favorite type of backyard adventure, is finding a way to get from point A to point B. When I was living in Denver, I used to run a lot on the Cherry Creek path, which travels alongside the Cherry Creek, the water source, like the stream. And a lot of people would go tubing in the Platte River, which is connected to the Cherry Creek, but I would never see people tubing in the Cherry Creek. So I really wanted to answer this question of why does nobody go tubing in Cherry Creek. So I chose a point A and a point B on the creek. I purchased a $3 inner tube from Target, and I made my way down Cherry Creek. Reporting live from the creek. It's going well so far. It's pretty calm, although I do see something up ahead. It's a bit shallow, so it's somewhat of a core workout. I regret not bringing my GoPro. I'm about to crash into a tree. Okay, gotta go, bye. Another example of this is when my friend Claire, like 4 years ago, brought up this curiosity that she had about how long can a person walk. We were both living in Colorado together, and I was obviously about to move from Colorado, so I was like, Claire, this is our last chance to go for a really long walk. We decided to walk from Denver to Boulder, which, if you're not familiar, is about a full marathon. It took us the entire day, and it was really silly, and nobody really understood why we were doing this, but it was a super memorable experience and definitely helped to slow down my year. The third idea is a wildflower identification safari. I was just on a family vacation, and we took a little ferry to this island, and they were giving out these posters with the local flora on it, and my mom and I decided to try to find all of the flowers on the poster, and it actually ended up being so much fun. I was like, this is kind of silly, but it really ended up being a fun experience. I think that this can be applied to like other category of things in nature. You could do plant identification, you could do animals, birds. When I was in California visiting my brother, we went to some tide pools and we saw a bunch of stuff. We were like, what the heck is this? And it was really fun to like look it up and try to figure out what the heck it was. Fourth adventure, I love going swimming. When I was living in Colorado, there were very limited bodies of water. Of course, it's a landlocked state. There are some lakes and stuff, but I would make it my purpose almost every weekend in the summer to try to find some body of water that I could swim in. A bonus for this adventure is combining it with the sunrise sunset adventure and doing a sunrise or sunset swim. Fifth idea is just wandering in a new neighborhood, a new town, somewhere nearby that you've never spent a lot of time before. Just wandering the streets can be really fun. There's this app that I have called Rando Not, and if you give it a radius on the map, it will just select a random point, and it can be really fun to just like walk to the point. Or if you're someone like me who does go for like evening walks pretty regularly, it can be a good way to just like get you out of your routine and be like, okay, I'm gonna go walk to the point on the map. That can be really fun. Number 6 is having a picnic. Eating is of course a part of our everyday routine, but that being said, it doesn't have to be boring. You can make a little event out of it. You can go have a picnic somewhere fun, get out in nature. For a bonus challenge for this adventure would be trying to get to the picnic spot in a unique way, either riding your bike there, hiking there, something like that. A couple last tips. I think it can be really helpful to ask people for recommendations. I just moved and I asked all of my coworkers if they had any recommendations for me. They gave me a ton, and I don't feel so lost or like feel like I'm scrambling for ideas for these backyard adventures. Even if you have lived somewhere for years, I think it's even more important to tap into the people around you, because they might know something that you don't know, and you could get a really great recommendation that way. Or there might be somewhere that you've kind of always wanted to go, and their recommendation might just be the push you need to visit somewhere that you've always been kind of curious about. Finally, don't feel constrained by anything on this list or anything that anybody else is telling you. An adventure can be whatever it means to you, anything that is fun for you. Me personally, I love animals, so I'm always like going to petting zoos and stuff, which for a young adult is maybe a little bit strange because typically petting zoos are for children, but to me it makes me really happy. So an adventure can be whatever is fun for you, whatever makes you happy. So maybe the person who said the days are long but the years are short wasn't actually wrong. Maybe they just forgot to go on enough adventures. Adventures can make life feel more exciting, longer, and more fun. And the best part is you don't have to go far to do it. Sometimes the best adventure is right in your backyard. Thank you for watching. I hope that this helped. I hope this inspired you to go on a backyard adventure sometime soon. Please let me know what backyard adventure you have chose, and I hope to see you back soon.